I wanted to make this video about celebrating small wins. So for the past 10 years, I've been dealing with depression, and over the years, it's been, kind of morphing into different diagnoses. And, I got diagnosed earlier this year with complex PTSD, and before that, it was ADHD. And this is still a journey of me trying to figure out essentially what's wrong with me. But I don't really like labels. However, labels give us some kind of framework for understanding ourselves. And whether or not you fit the label, it doesn't matter. We all have these symptoms that we're dealing with every day. And for me, it's depression is kind of like the predominant state that I find myself in, and the thing that I battle every day. And since learning about complex PTSD, there's kind of like this other term that comes in, which is called an emotional flashback, which is like learning. Like what I'm learning now is like there's so much trauma that's like been stored in my body over the years of abuse, emotionally, physically, and verbally. And there's just so much trauma that's been trapped in my body. So there's things that can trigger me. Like every day I wake up and I could be triggered by something. And sometimes I'm conscious of it, sometimes I'm not conscious of it. And that's always been confusing to me, but not anymore, because now that I know that there's always some kind of reason or some kind of trigger. Whereas in the past, I used to think that there's no trigger. That my moods are just random and they just swing like really intensely. I've been misdiagnosed as bipolar, and now that I'm kind of coming to this awareness that it's not bipolar, because bipolar is intense mood swings over extended periods of time. My mood swings are a lot more rapid, so I could be feeling depressed at 9 a.m. and then by 11 a.m. I'm like super happy, super euphoric. And then 4 p.m. I just want to like neck myself. And then 6 p.m. I'm happy again. And that's kind of the nature of my mood swings. And I've been trying to research this at length on the internet and trying to find other people to relate to. And I think the community that I relate to the most, like right now as it stands, is kind of like borderline personality. And I haven't got an official diagnosis yet, but there's something that I want to raise next with my psychologist. But diagnosis or not, the symptom is the same. And the symptom being that I have days where I'm like feeling very positive about life, and I feel very inspired, and I'm super creative, and I have all these ideas, and I'm super social. I reach out to all my friends and my family, and I make jokes. I'm happy and charismatic, and it's almost like that's the person who I know that I am. And deep down, that's the person I was before depression. However, I go to sleep and I wake up and it's like that person is gone. And I don't know who I am. And I wake up and I'm just in the state of dissociation. It's almost like I'm just frozen. And so over the years, I have a lot of coping mechanisms to deal with this debilitating state of frozenness where I just can't get out of bed. And it's just a monumental task to just do anything. And, I used to shame myself for that. And I used to just, watch people like David Goggins and all this self-help and be like, yo, I gotta be better, like man up and all that stuff. And that was really damaging to me. never really helped me, even though I did exert and push myself. Like wake up at this time and like go to the gym, and people just go like, "Oh, just go to the gym, lift weights," and it didn't really help me because I was still just just traumatized, and you can't fight. You can't exert willpower to overcome trauma. What you really need is self-compassion. And in a roundabout way, that's what I wanted to talk about today. I've been rambling for a while. And self-compassion is just noticing that what you're dealing with is not easy. And it takes a lot of courage to wake up every morning and fight. Because when you're carrying so much pain inside you and you feel alone and isolated and nobody really understands what you're going through, and your own mind is battling against you. Like, you're trying to get better, but you are your own mind is battling you, and if you're battling your own mind, and it's painful, and you've just gotta have compassion for that. Have compassion for the inner child in you that went through all the things that it went through, and just acknowledge how hard it is to just do the simple things in life. I used to shame myself for not being able to wash my clothes or like cook my own meals or do the dishes, and all these things that seem very basic to do, that I can't do them. Somehow though, there's some kind of resilience in me that has managed to hold down a job for the past, I don't know, however long. And I'm just surviving. It may seem on the outside to a lot of people that I'm doing really well in life. Like I've got all these material things, and I'm successful, quote unquote, in my career. But sometimes it's like I'm wearing this mask, and it's just really exhausting to be a human being. And so I wanted to acknowledge that, having that self-compassion for yourself. And something that I picked up when I went to this retreat earlier on this year about shadow work or integrating your shadow is that what integrating your shadow is just essentially just means the parts of you that you don't want to feel, the parts of you that you are scared to address. When you really confront those, it's really painful, and there's no quick fix, and change is subtle, and change happens slowly over time. And that's another thing that I picked up recently in group therapy is slow is fast. And sometimes you beat yourself up so much that you're like, I should be fixed already. I've been doing this for so many years. Like, why am I still broken? But then you forget that you have been changing. If you maybe look back on who you were, who you used to be, the fact that you're still here and you're still watching this means that you've learned something. Like, it wasn't all a waste of time. And that's what I wanted to kind of talk about today. Is yesterday, I've been having such a good time over this. I've been going to group therapy, and I've been doing group coaching, really working on myself for the past 2 to 3 months. And sometimes it feels like I've not made any progress, and the inner critic in me, there's a really critical part of me that comes in and just berates me and tells me that it's all a waste of time and I should go kill myself and all these things. And I kind of, sometimes I'm doing so well for a stint of like a week or 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden I have this just real dark depression, or this dark dissociative episode. And that's what happened yesterday. So I woke up with all these plans, and I had this whole to-do list of things that I wanted to do. One of them was making a YouTube video. And I had this idea for this video, this whole script written out, and I just couldn't get out of bed. I was in this super dark dissociative state. And however, I managed to leave my house. I managed to go for a walk, and I bought a weighted blanket, and that's something that I learned is going to help me sleep better. So I went and did that. But then I actually ate. I had some food as well. I had like a whole plan of things that I should eat for the day, because right now I'm trying to gain some muscle, and I've got to eat 180 grams of protein every day in order to do that. And I've been so good with that for like 2 months now, I think, almost. And I just had this one day where I just couldn't eat. I had no appetite. And I just forced myself, like a willpower exertion, to eat, but it just didn't feel right yesterday. So anyways, I had a burger, and I just made sure I just had some food in me, had some water in me. And yeah, I had plans with a friend. He invited me to go over to his house, and he was gonna cook some dinner, and we're gonna watch a movie. And because I was just in this dissociative state, usually I would not want to interact or engage with anybody, because that's what that part of me is telling me to do, is hide from the world, isolate yourself. Like, nobody likes you. You're a burden. Like, you in this depressive state is a burden to other people. So you should not show your face to anybody. You should just sleep it off until it blows over. And in the past, that's what I would have done. I would have just sent a text message and be like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm feeling really sick. Can't come today. Or like, hey man, I'm sorry, I'm tired. I would make some kind of excuse. However, yesterday I had the courage to kind of leave the house and go to his house, and it was still really uncomfortable, because when I'm in these dissociative episodes, like I literally can't speak. I can't form a sentence. And it's just painful to be in other people's presence. However, I went to his house and I did my best to be present and engage in conversation and stuff. And I lasted for an hour and a half. And then he asked if I wanted to keep hanging out, but I told him that I couldn't, I had to go home, I had to sleep. I set some boundaries, because I knew that I was lacking on sleep this week, and that's been really affecting my mental health. So I went home and I slept, and I woke up today, again, feeling really depressed, feeling quite suicidal, but I managed to get out of bed again, and I went and got coffee. I went for a walk, and I listened to this podcast on YouTube, and I got inspired to tell the story. And the story is about celebrating your small wins. And I just wanted to celebrate that today within myself, and for anybody else watching, to just encourage everybody to kind of have compassion for yourself when there's just so many critical parts of you that are giving you reasons not to be compassionate, telling you that you're a piece of shit, telling you that you're worthless, and just know that that's not you. Those parts are not you. for me, that part is, critical parent growing up. Just nothing I did was ever good enough. So every time I recognize these voices, they're not me. And that awareness is a small win. And if I think about yesterday, celebrating all the small wins, if I wasn't looking through the lens of what went well, I could easily just say that yesterday was a write-off because I didn't do all the things on my to-do list. I wasn't quote unquote productive. But I got through the day and I did a lot of things that I wouldn't have been able to do a year ago. And that's progress. Like showing my face in public when I'm in the state is progress. Like going to meet a friend is progress. So when you feel like these days are write-offs, they're not. Just when looking back, not many of my days are write-offs. And yeah, I just wanted to make this video to celebrate my small wins. As a reminder to myself, if I look back, there's going to be days in the future where I feel like giving up. But yeah, hopefully I can watch my own video and be like, okay, don't give up. You're doing all right. When you look in the sky and there's just cloud everywhere, it's what depression feels like. It's just overcast all the time. But the clouds change a little bit. They're not static. And I think sometimes when you're in these depressive, dissociative states, you feel like it's never going to change. But you really have to train yourself to notice there's just little breaks in the clouds. Sometimes the sun shines through, and that could just be these little things that you do. And for me, yesterday, that was just, I went over to my friend's house when I was dissociated. And that's progress. And yeah, I think this work is subtle and the shifts are subtle. And I think if it's a massive shift, then it's not going to last. Slow is fast. So if you're going through hard times, if you're going through this healing journey, if you're trying to work on yourself, and you kind of have these moments where you feel that nothing's working or you're just relapsing, and you have these episodes where you're kind of back to where you started, just know that there's still, if you actually zoom out, you kind of see that there's these little moments where you're actually making progress, and those are the moments that you kind of have to hold on to when you're in this hopeless state. These little moments to hold on to, because you're kind of retraining your brain to positively reinforce instead of shaming yourself. To improve, you're kind of using positive reinforcement, and positive reinforcement is always a lot more motivating than negative reinforcement. Look for these little moments where you're making progress and hold on to them. And keep going. The journey is the destination. Peace.